on News Radio WRVA.
Oh, wait a minute, Dave. Stop the music. Stop the music. No, you're supposed to stop it. I just got a text message. Rich, the Wienermobile is at the Branch Museum on Monument Avenue. Dave, let's end the show right now and run down to the Wienermobile.
I love the Wienermobile. It's one of the coolest cars around.
I can't argue. Like the coolest cars ever. If you had a Mount Rushmore, the Wienermobile would be on there, right?
Oh, yeah.
The original Batmobile from the TV show?
That definitely.
Kit from Knight Rider?
Magnum PI's Ferrari. The General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard.
The Budweiser Clydesdales with the red wagon. I know it's not a car, but it's a vehicle. Car. Yeah, but I think it's a vehicle. Can you think of anything better than that? And maybe Gravedigger, the monster truck.
Yeah, Gravedigger would definitely be on there.
Gravedigger, the monster truck would be on there as well. Anyway.
Being from St. Louis, it'd be Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot.
The original monster truck.
Was Bigfoot. That's right. Wow. The Wienermobile's in town. All right. Seriously, if anybody can get a picture of the Wienermobile, it's supposed to be down on Monument Avenue right now at the Branch Museum. Tell them to come visit me. Have you ever seen the Wienermobile in person, Dave? They actually have little whistles they'll give you. I don't think they hand out hot dogs, but they have little whistles. Oh, somebody said the Munsters car. Yeah, you know what? The Munsters car would be on that all-time classic vehicle list for me as well. All right, coming up on the program, I think Dave's doing his best to get him on the show. We have scheduled a gentleman from Heritage Foundation, Simon Hankinson, and we're trying to get him on the phone right now. Having some difficulty getting through to him, but a lot's been made of, and I've got a lot of text messages. Hey, Rich, what do you think about what happened with the ICE agents and the 2 fatal shootings that we've had over the last week? They're awful. They're horrible. I think everybody would agree they're awful and they're horrible. They're horrible that someone lost their life. It's horrible that someone had to take a life. Period. End of story. Now, we can go down that rabbit hole if you like. And I saw Jessica Tarloff last night, and she's so clueless on Fox News. I saw her on the 5, and she's talking about, well, if these officers throw themselves in front of a car. No, Jessica, you have no idea what you're talking about. A lot of people have no idea what they're talking about. These ICE facilities are worse than concentration camps. Really? Really? Let's find out. Simon Hankinson from the Heritage Foundation had a nice op-ed piece he wrote. It was in the, I think it was in the Daily Wire. And he's joining us right now on News Radio WRVA. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
I appreciate you joining us this morning on News Radio WRVA. A lot of people. We had protest here. We're going to put an ICE processing facility here in Central Virginia. The protesters came out, immediately called it whatever names they wanted to, and ICE has been vilified. And they've said these ICE facilities are awful and they must be shut down immediately. They're concentration camps, and this is the worst thing in the world. You actually did some research. What say you to all these critics that say that ICE treats these people so incredibly awful and these places are just hell on earth?
Yeah, like you know, when you first read the headline, you read that somebody died in custody. You know, it's not good. Nobody wants anyone to die in schools or on trains and planes and in custody. Certainly, you want people to be treated with dignity and respect, even if they are criminals. They shouldn't be tortured. You know, we don't do that. It's America. So I looked into it, and it turned out, to my surprise, honestly, that the rate of death in federal prisons is about 5 times higher than the rate of detention, a rate of death in detention with ICE. And in state prisons, it's something like 6 times. So, you know, out of 100,000, you might have 400 people die in a state prison a year, but in ICE detention, it was only something like 60. So it was a fraction of that. And I looked at other countries, the United Kingdom, England and Wales specifically, you were 7 times more likely to die in an English prison than you are in ICE detention. So while every death, is regrettable, most of them are from heart attacks, drug abuse, cancer, the things that kill normal people every day.
And I think that's where this gets taken out of context. Because somebody take our conversation right now, we go, only this amount of people died. The people could take that out of context and say, well, what only do you not care? 1 death is unacceptable. 2, 3, they're all unacceptable. Nobody wants to see that. But in real life, there are people that it's their time. Now, here's what I want to know from you. And we're talking with Simon Hankinson right now, setting the record straight on, are these ICE facilities dangerous? Are people losing their lives in droves? Are these worse conditions than we have in our federal prisons or county jails? My thing is, how many of these people died of natural causes? Do we have any idea of what caused these deaths? Because I think that would unlock really what's going on here instead of taking things out of context.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have exact details on I think there's been about 50 deaths so far since the Trump administration started. But looking at federal and state prison data, the leading causes of death are cancer, heart disease, suicide, and sometimes homicide. In prison, people get killed. I doubt that happens in ICE detention because it's not a prison, it's not a jail, it's immigration detention. Conditions are governed by very strict rules as far as medication, dental care. A lot of these detainees are getting better health care than they've ever had in their entire lives. And that's actually one factor too, is that when you have someone who has been brought up in a poor village in the Congo, and all of a sudden they're in the United States and they've got different pressures and different foods and whatever, they're going to be subject to things that they've never experienced in their lives, and they're going to need medical care and dental care that they've never had before. So as far as I could tell, most of these deaths, or all of them, were natural causes. No one is getting, deliberately killed here. This is not China. This is not Iran, where they kill prisoners, to just be clear.
Because that's the way it sounds when you take these out of context. Oh, look at all these people that are dying in federal custody in these ICE facilities. There must be something nefarious going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's if you strip it down to the basic facts, grown-ups like you and me understand that crime is bad. We don't like it. And if you want to deter crime, you have to put people sometimes in jail. And it's the same with immigration. If you want to have a border, if you want to enforce rules, sometimes you have to detain people so that you can put them on a plane and send them home where they come from and where they belong. And, there's a price to law enforcement. In the United States, there's millions and millions of arrests every year, and almost no incidents of violence or police-involved shootings. But there are a few every year. And the abolitionists, they call themselves, the people like these Democratic Socialists of America who are about to be in Congress and who are running Seattle and New York, they genuinely do not believe anybody should ever go to jail for any reason or ever be expelled from a country for any reason. That's their ultimate goal.
Okay, that's where I was going to go next. Big picture. When I take this out of context and I use it to dehumanize ICE by saying they dehumanize people, that they're killing people in custody, that they're separating families, all of these half-truths and things taken out of context about ICE and Custom and Border Patrol and the job that they do. Why is it? Why is it they're trying to convince the American people to disband and defund ICE and Custom and Border Patrol? What is their reason? What's the big picture reason why they want to vilify these federal law enforcement officers?
Well, I would suggest that your listeners go and look at the Democratic Socialists of America party platform, or they just Google the word abolitionist and ICE, and you will see that they are right out there being very open about it. They don't believe in what they call the carceral state. They believe that prisons and judges and courts are racist and that they should be abolished. So that's their ultimate goal. And that's why they're trying to provoke, if they can, as much violence as possible, have some innocent victims that they can hold up as martyrs. But the strategic goal here is to abolish immigration enforcement and all law enforcement. To them, it's all part of one package, and usually abolish Israel and a couple other things in the same.
Well, let me jump in here with you, because I've talked to local police officers, and they say because there is such venom vitriol, and ICE has become so toxic, their jobs have gotten more difficult. We've chipped away at some of these institutions, including the authority and the meaning of a badge. And now, even though they're county police officers, they're state troopers, they're local law enforcement, people look at that ICE badge and they've looked at that and would look down their nose at it and looked at it as if it's not important. And they take that out on local officers now.
Well, some of us are old enough to remember or read about the 1960s and where they would call police pigs, and the Weather Underground and the far left radicals in the 60s, the Black Panthers, believed that police were all evil. They were legitimate targets of terrorism and violence. And those of us that are, like I said, are grown-ups, that are civilized, understand that the police are our brothers and sisters. They're people who live in our communities who are trying to keep us safe. And what the left, this movement is trying to do is put them all in the same basket and say anyone who enforces any law is someone to be vilified, someone to be targeted. And we really have to push back against that narrative. Obviously, ICE has a job that's a lot tougher than most average cops in a small town. But it's a job that needs to be done. If we're going to have borders, if we're going to have law and order, someone has to be on the business end of that investigation or of that deportation or that law enforcement action. And we cannot allow the left to put all of our law enforcement officers on the other side of what's right and wrong.
Because they are that thin blue line that separates us and helps ensure that we do have laws that help figure out what's right and wrong in this country as well. Simon, I appreciate you shining some light on this, and love to have you back on for an extended discussion.
It was my pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you so much. Simon Hankinson joining us from Heritage. Again, you see that figure. All these people that have passed away in ICE custody. I don't want anybody to pass away, neither do you. But the numbers don't bear fruit. If you just look at the raw number and you take it out of context, it's completely different than if you actually look through the numbers and see what's really going on. So I thank him for joining us. Today's program. Oh, by the way, let me give you the text number for you, 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140 on the James River Air text line. Today's program brought to you in part by Men's Wellness Centers. Here's the deal, folks. Men's Wellness Centers, thousands